After spending a year in Sri Lanka, I've discovered the vibrant flavours of its cuisine and its deep connection to the land, history and community. Each dish tells a story, and living amongst locals, attending traditional festivals and sharing meals with families has enriched my appreciation of the culinary art. This immense experience has allowed me not just to learn about the food itself, but about the cultural significance behind each meal. I hope my experience can be passed on to you. Please enjoy. Sri Lanka, a land of wonderful people, mountains, beaches, culture and an ancient history. It is diverse and this shows within its cuisine. Welcome to the land of wonder and beauty. So you can use any fish that you want. I've got this fish here, this white fish, but maybe like a cod or something, but any fish actually works. So I've got 800 grams of this fish that I'm gonna cut up into kind of, bite-sized pieces. Once we've done that, I'm gonna put it in a bowl. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, and then just give it a mix, and then we can just set that aside. So we're going to need 1 cup of onion, 1 cup of tomato and 1 head of garlic. We're also going to need 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and 2 teaspoons of unroasted or raw curry powder. 1 teaspoon of black mustard seeds, 1 of fenugreek, 1 of cumin, and then a nice kind of piece of cinnamon. Some fresh pandan leaf, as you can see here, and some fresh curry leaves. We're also going to need some ginger as well, about equal amounts to the garlic. And what we're going to do is roughly crush that. So we're going to pound the garlic and ginger together, set that aside. You'll end up with about maybe a tablespoon or so. Fresh chili to taste, and then we're off to the cooker. So I've got about 3 tablespoons of coconut oil in there, and we're going to drop in all of our whole spices on an above medium heat. We're going to whiz that around. Then we're going to drop in the 1 cup of onion. To that we're going to add the pandan leaves and the curry leaves. Stir, stir, stir. Going to give it, 2 to 3 minutes. Then we can add in the garlic and the ginger, the fresh chili, and the 1 cup of tomato. We're going to cook this now for maybe 6-7 minutes. We want to kind of break it down. Let's get some salt in there. I'm adding a teaspoon of salt. Let's kind of just cook away, get those onions and tomatoes nice and soft. Tomatoes are just starting to kind of mash now. Then we go in with the powders. Give that a little mix. Keep your powders moving, otherwise they get bitter if they burn, so don't burn them. We're going to add 2 cups of cold water here. And staying on this kind of above medium heat, we're going to go just for like 3 or 4 minutes just to get some heat through everything. Next up, it's time to add the fish. Like I say, any fish works. I'm just using this fish. This is the fish that I have with me in Sri Lanka. You might not be able to get this fish. You might get a different fish like a cod or something, or a salmon even maybe. Once the fish goes in, let's cook this for about 7 or 8 minutes at this stage before we add any other ingredients. This is gorica. Gorica is very similar to tamarind. We're going to get a few pieces of that in. That's just a dried gorica. You can get it in a paste. We're now going to add 1 teaspoon of roasted curry powder. It's going to give it a really beautiful flavor. And then 1 cup of coconut milk. Stir that in, lower the heat and let that go now for about 6 or 7 minutes. And that is it. You've got a really, really beautiful, simple fish curry. Delightful. Okay, so I've got 1 kg, which is 2.2 pound of beef. There's no bone in here at all. So I'm just going to sort of cube this up. Then we're going to get it into a bowl. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of black pepper, salt, turmeric, chili powder. And then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of unroasted curry powder and 2 teaspoons of the roasted curry powder. Just give that a mix. We can set that aside. Going to get some other things together here, some pandan leaves, some curry leaves, some fresh chili. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some garlic, peel that up, maybe a whole head actually, with 3 cardamoms and cinnamon, and I'm going to roughly bash the life out of that. We're also going to need 1 cup of onion and 1 cup of fresh tomatoes. Then we're going to need 1 teaspoon of cumin and fenugreek and some cinnamon. Okay, we can get to the cooker now. I'm obviously going to be starting this off with coconut oil. Coconut oil is the basis of everything, or coconut is the base of everything, it seems, in Sri Lanka. 3 tablespoons I've got there. We're on an above medium heat. Drop in the whole spices, whiz them around for a few seconds. They'll infuse the oil. We're then going to add our curry leaves and our pandan leaves. Very difficult to express how important pandan and curry leaves are in Sri Lankan cooking. Then we're going to go with 1 cup of onion. We're going to put in our fresh chili. You can, adjust the chili. You don't have to put that much in if you don't want. We're going to put that crushed garlic with the cinnamon and the cardamom in. And we're going to, again, on this above medium heat, cook that until the onions soften, probably about 4 to 5 minutes. Next up, we're going to put in the tomato, the 1 cup of tomato. And again, 4 to 5 minutes, we want to soften down tomatoes a little bit as well. Very simply, what we're going to do now, we're going to take our beef that we seasoned earlier, we're going to drop that all in, and then there's a lot of cooking time happening now. So just like this, what we're going to do is we're going to cook this for about 12, 13, 15 minutes, stir it around. My beef's not that big, I didn't cut it that big, but yeah, we're going to cook this for about, let's say, 15 minutes. You can see it's cooking down very nicely, but still a long way to go with it. Beef takes a very long time to cook. Okay, next step, we're going to add some salt to taste. You can adjust that. I'll put about a teaspoon in there. We're also going to add water, cold water. I'm putting in about 700 ml. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to lower the heat slightly above a simmer. And then we're going to go for my beef here, 30 to 40 minutes. Want this beef to be really soft and tender, don't we? Look at that, absolutely wonderful. Now, the only thing I do now is I add a few fresh curry leaves at the end, throw them in, spin that around. This is ready to serve. It is divine. I mean, this is really, really good. So I'm going to be starting my dish off with chicken breast. You can use a different part of chicken if you want. You can use thigh, you can even have the bone in, but you'll have to cook it a bit longer. This method cooks really quickly. So we're going to just kind of cube it up into little pieces, kind of bite-sized pieces. Then we're going to season it. I'm going to be seasoning it with a tablespoon of flour. You can use corn flour or cornstarch, which is the same thing, or just a regular wheat flour. Then we're just going to add a few, spices to it. A teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of turmeric, chili powder. I'm going to be adding 2 of those, and then some chili flakes. A couple of them in there as well. Just give that a mix, and then we can get over to the cooker, and we're just going to fry this off first in some nice hot oil. You can use any oil for this part of the dish. What we're going to do is get it nice and hot. We're going to drop the parts in, and because it's chicken breast, it's only going to take about 5 minutes or so. I've got to batch cook these. I don't want to crowd the pan because they stick together. But yeah, nice kind of golden brown. And then what we're going to do is set them aside. Then we can take a look at some of the other ingredients we're going to be using today. So we're going to go with a cup of onion and cut it kind of, as you can see how I'm doing it here, and kind of quite chunky, Also, we're going to go for some tomato, a cup of tomato again, chunky cut, and then some bell peppers. Now I'm using 3 different types of color for bell peppers, but normally it would just be green peppers, but I like the red and the yellow in there. Some sliced garlic and some fresh chili. I'm using 3 or 4 chilies, but you can reduce that down if you want, but it is deviled, so we do want a nice little kick. So we've got some coconut oil happening there, about 2 to 3 tablespoons, and we're going to start off by dropping in about a tablespoon of our garlic, and we're just going to throw that around in a hot oil for like 60 seconds. Next up goes the chunky cut onion. Couple of minutes there, then we're going to add a little bit of salt, not too much, we're going to be adding soy later, and some black pepper. The fresh chili to taste. This all comes together quite quickly actually, so we're on a high heat here. That's looking absolutely beautiful. Next up, in go the chunky cut bell peppers. Little bit extra of chili flake. You can adjust that, eyeball it, and kind of get it how you want. And a little bit more chili powder for me. Then we're gonna drop in the chicken that we cooked just a moment ago. We're gonna give that a little mix around. We're gonna spin that around in the pan for like 2 to 3 minutes. We're gonna add the fresh tomato. Again, it's all chunky cut, as you can see. And then soy sauce. I'm using a light soy, maybe 2 tablespoons. Like a tablespoon of tomato ketchup. And I'm gonna add like a teaspoon only of vinegar. You don't have to put the vinegar. I just like it in there. That's a coconut vinegar, by the way. Everything's coconut, isn't it? So once again, we're gonna spin this around 3 to 4 minutes on a high heat. This is done. It's absolutely beautiful. And there you have it, a really delicious, deviled, spicy chicken. Yummy. Food lovers will find paradise in Sri Lanka, where every dish tells a story of heritage and culture. Every meal is an adventure of the senses. But what truly elevates Sri Lanka above other countries is the warmth and the hospitality of the Sri Lankan people. Today, we're going to be making a chicken black curry. Okay, so we're going to get started with this dish by seasoning our chicken. I've got a 1 kg chicken, that's 2.2 pounds. We're going to add 1 teaspoon each of salt, black pepper powder and chili powder. We're also going to add roasted curry powder. Roasted curry powder is very, very popular. We're going to put in 5 teaspoons of that. To that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of gorica or taramint. This is a kind of souring agent. Gorica is very popular in Sri Lanka. Simply what we're going to do is you can give that a mix, or in my case a little shake, and then we're going to pop that in the refrigerator, for about 30 minutes. So let's take a look at some other ingredients. So we're going to need 1 teaspoon of black mustard seeds, fenugreek and cumin, along with a little bit of cinnamon. Pandan leaves and curry leaves are a real essential. I'm going to take 1 head of garlic, I'm going to peel that and get a roughly about the same size of ginger, and I'm just going to give that a little pounding. We're going to need fresh chili to taste. You can slit them down the center. 1 cup of onion and 1 cup of tomato. Okay, let's get to the cooker. So in my pan, I've got oil. I'm using coconut oil. Coconut oil is pretty much used in everything in Sri Lanka, about 3 tablespoons. We're on a high heat. To that, what we're gonna do once the oil is hot, I'm gonna drop in all of our lovely whole spices. I'm gonna give them a spin and let them kind of, do their thing in that oil. They're really gonna infuse the oil, give it a beautiful, beautiful flavor. Next up, we'll be dropping in the pandan leaves, also known as rampa, and the curry leaves. Again, both of these ingredients are super, super essential. Let's drop in the cup of onion. We're going to get our ginger and our garlic in there. And on this high heat, we're going to spin that around maybe for about 3 to 4 minutes, just so that the onions soften. We're going to drop in that fresh tomato. And again, 3 to 4 minutes until the tomatoes soften this time. It's coming together beautifully. Now it's time for our chicken. Like I say, I've used a whole 1 kg chicken, which is 2.2 pounds. seasoned it as you saw. We're going to drop that all in now, but you can use just, you know, drumsticks if you want, or thigh, entirely up to you. So in goes all of our chicken. And then what I'm going to do, stay in on this high heat. We're going to spin it around again for around 5 to 6 minutes. We're going to drop in our fresh chili, and then I'm going to be adding cold water, 500 ml of cold water I'm using, or enough to just kind of cover it. Again, we're staying on this high heat. We're going to cook this now for about 15 to 20 minutes. What we want to do here is actually reduce down the water so it thickens and kind of becomes fairly dry. Not too dry, but fairly dry. We're going to check it for salt right now. Add as little or as much as you like, of course. And then we're going to reduce it down, and then this is done. It's absolutely delicious. And that's it, delicious. You can have this with rice or with some sort of bread, entirely up to you. Really fabulous, fabulous. And there you have it. You've got a fantastic black, spicy chicken. It's deep and it's delicious. Sri Lanka is a vibrant culinary paradise that tantalizes your taste buds with a wide array of dishes featuring succulent meats and fresh fish. However, it's not just carnivores that will find delight here. Vegans and vegetarians are equally spoiled. An impressive selection of plant-based recipes are available throughout the country, from hearty dhals, fragrant curries and savory vegetable stir-fries, and of course, coconut sambal. There's something to please every palate. Today we will be making a dry fry potato. Okay, this is simple and absolutely delicious. We're going to get some potatoes, about 4 cups in total. We're going to peel them. We're going to half boil them, just give them like 3 or 4 minutes only. We're going to boil them in some salt and some turmeric. That's all we're going to do. Then we're going to set them aside, and then we can look at some other beautiful ingredients for this dish. Really, really tasty. So we're also going to need 1 teaspoon each of salt, black pepper, chili powder and chili flakes. And for some whole seeds, we're going to use again 1 teaspoon of black mustard seeds and some very famous, of course, Sri Lankan cinnamon. A little bit of fresh curry leaves and pandan leaves, also known as rampa. A tiny amount, like a 1/4 cup really, of onion, not too much, just sliced. Again, a sliced tomato. Fresh chili to taste, entirely up to you. Just slit them down the center there. And then you can see most of our ingredients right there. Let's get to the cooker. Okay, so the first step is we're going to fry off the potatoes. There's maybe sort of 6 tablespoons of oil there. We're going to drop them in on a nice high heat, and we're going to throw them around in that nice hot oil for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. Give them a little kind of golden brownness, you know what I mean? Then simply what I'm going to do is reduce the oil down from that, as you can see. So we're left with about maybe 2 tablespoons now. Then we're going to start adding some ingredients. We're going to go with the black mustard seeds and the cinnamon. The pandan leaves and the curry leaves. And that tiny amount of onion. You could add more onion if you wanted. You could also, if you want, put some garlic and ginger in this, but I'm not going to. We're going to stir fry this around on a high heat pretty much all the way here for about 2 to 3 minutes. Just want to soften the onions a little bit. Simply, we're going to get in the chili flakes, the chili powder, the salt and the pepper. Again, we're going to stir fry that around. High heat. Keep it moving. Fresh chili and that 1 tomato thinly sliced. Stir, stir, stir. Really super delicious this is. Really delicious. And so simple. We've now got happy vegetarians and happy vegans.